So I have opened the chat for any comments. If you have any questions, please feel free to place it in the Q&A. I do have a couple questions from previously, if
Sure.
okay. So Nicole is asking, in reading your work, I get confused in some aspects. In some passages, it seems there is a happy ending state we can anticipate, where we've healed the exile, and so now the protector does not need to step in. However, in my own experience, no matter how much exile work I do, I will always have a cleaning protector when I get nervous, or a people-pleasing manager that still comes out. And in the IFS therapy book, you also reference your own protectors continuing to come out sometimes. Can you speak to this? Will you ever fully heal to the extent where these protectors do not come out?
I have a few protectors that still pop out in pretty rare circumstances, but I've had many that I don't ever feel in the same way. So yeah, they can totally transform. And some of them just sort of keep some of the burden just in case and still react in somewhat dire circumstances, but otherwise have these new jobs. So I hope that answers the question.
Great. And then Demetrius is asking, I asked a client to tell me how he feels about his inner critic, and he answered that his inner critic does all the talking and could only answer non-verbally, showing me with his
Could only
hands,
answer what?
non-verbally,
Verbally?
and could only answer showing me with his hands as if he were to strangle someone. How can I approach this angry part and communicate with it, or have it step back so that we can meet the critic?
Okay. A couple things. So even if it's not talking, you can still ask the question, how do you feel toward it? And if the client gives you self-like answer from self, then can you just extend it appreciation for trying to protect you that way, even if it's not responding? And we would just do that until the non-responsive critic feels safer and is willing to talk. Or I might say, let me talk to it, even though it won't talk to you and it only uses hands. Sometimes they'll talk to me. And so, are you there? So you're this critic inside of her. Is that right? Okay. And tell me more about yourself and what you're trying to do in this role. And you'd be amazed at how much the critic will talk to me. And it will even tell me the reasons it won't talk to the client.
Right. Cindy is asking, what can I do with someone who has who's quit her bipolar meds and is in a dangerous months-long manic swing, blowing up her life, and refusing to get any help in any way? How can I help her if she chooses to come back?
For whatever reason, some part took over that is doing all this. And so from a very respectful, curious place, you just start to ask, and usually direct access, can I talk to that part that took over? And again, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't do this to her? And you'll usually get answers.
Right. I did have a question earlier on about the different personality disorders, how IFS looks at personality disorders.
As I said, that it's a cluster of protectors. So depending on which one, I could give you more detail, but
Okay.
you know,
Sorry.
there's often scary protectors. So therapists start to freak out. And that's the bigger issue. And that's partly why IFS is useful, because it helps you not freak out and know it's not your client isn't a suicidal person. They've got a suicidal firefighter that's just trying to keep them safe. And the rage that's coming at you isn't about you. It's just a protector because you've gotten too close to some exile, and so on and so on.
Mm.
But I think that's all the time if we're going to do something else.
Right.
Questions. So with all that, let me see, what do I have, about 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Why don't I do a brief demo with somebody if
Sure.
there's anybody willing?
I've had a couple of people volunteer. Nicole has just raised her hand. She said that she has a breath holding part that she can't seem to figure out. And Diane has also volunteered, and there's a few other volunteers.
Well, I think to make it fair, I'll have everybody who's volunteering pick a card and put the card in the chat. And I have a deck of cards. I just picked one, and whoever's closest. So and by a card, I mean a number or Jack, King, Queen, Ace, and a suit. So put that in the chat.
Okay, I have an Ace of Spade coming in,
Okay.
Queen of Hearts,
Okay.
Jack of Clubs,
Oh, two Queens of Hearts. Okay.
and another Ace, and two Spade, and Seven of Hearts.
All right. So going once, going twice. It is the 10 of Hearts. So I think looks like the Jack of Clubs is closest.
Jack of Clubs. So that's Diane.
And is
Okay.
Diane the one who holds her breath?
No, that was a different, but Diane had volunteered first, so that seems fitting.
Okay, good. Hi, Diane.
Hi. Okay, hang on. So I've been doing a little bit of work, and I have a very strong anger part.
Great.
And I also have another part that finds that unacceptable. So there's a sort of dialogue that goes on between them. And I had an incident just the other day where it got triggered, and I was thinking about the title of your presentation today. And, I was asked to do something and I did it. And then I was told, no, that wasn't good enough. You have to go back and do it again. And I was like, why am I reacting with so much anger here? And I think it was somebody making a demand of me and not appreciating that I had done something and it wasn't right. So I definitely I was just shouting and, really freaking out, as you say.
Uh-huh. That's perfect. Yeah. So should we start with that anger part?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So where do you find it, in your body or around your body?
I think it's a lot in my head.
Uh-huh.
But I think there's another sort of, it's sort of both head and solar plexus.
Okay. Let's start with your head.
Yeah.
We'll focus on it there. And as you notice it, tell me how you feel toward it.
Feel toward it. I feel I don't know if I feel ashamed that I'm reacting this way. I feel bad about myself,
Yeah.
guilty, combination of those different things.
Yeah. That all makes sense. And you mentioned there's another part that battles with it.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask those parts, even though it makes sense they have these feelings, we're going to ask them to give us the space to actually get to know and maybe even help the anger, because their approach hasn't worked very well, I imagine. Right?
No. I mean, I've reached a better understanding of it, but it still didn't stop me from having that overreaction.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if they give us a chance, that we might have better luck with it.
Okay.
But see if they're all willing to relax back and let you just get curious about the anger.
Yes.
Yeah, so how do you feel toward it now?
So how do I feel toward the anger now?
Yeah,
I'm feeling curious,
great.
and I'm feeling a little bit of wondering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfect. So ask it what it wants you to know about itself. And don't think of the answer. Just wait and see what comes from that place in your head when you ask that question. Don't think, just wait.
So what was the question again?
It wants you to know about itself.
What does it want me to know about itself? That it needs to fight. It needs to fight for me.
Okay, so it's fighting for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel toward it as you hear that?
I feel curious again, but also the why. Why.
And that's where
I
we're,
mean,
go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, when I did some reflection prior to this moment, it took me back to the origin seemed to be when I was an adolescent. I wasn't allowed to express myself. I wasn't allowed to be angry, and I grew up in a place where I couldn't fight back. So I guess that's where that's coming from.
We'll see. We'll
Okay.
just stay curious.
Mm-hmm.
So any thinking parts can relax now. Good. And ask what it does want you to know about not only itself, but what it's afraid would happen if it didn't get so angry, times like the one you described.
People would walk all over me.
Okay. So it at some point decided it wasn't going to allow that to happen. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let it know you get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it protects a part that did feel walked over by people. Is that right? Ask it that. Don't think, just ask.
Okay. Um, okay, I'm trying to get rid of my thinking.
Yeah, good.
I don't know if people were walking all over me. I think that was a fear that people would walk all over me. I was, I came from a fairly suppressed
Okay, but now
childhood.
you're thinking. So
That's thinking, yeah. Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll talk to the angry part directly for a second.
Okay.
Are you there? Are you willing to talk to me for a second?
Yeah.
All right. So you said a second ago that you try to keep people from walking over Diane. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so do you protect parts that have felt walked over, or do you protect something else inside of Diane?
I think there's a variety of
Okay, but
parts.
you're thinking again. I just want to talk directly to this anger. So just be a little bit firm with the thinking part. So I'll ask, are you there, the angry part?
I am.
Okay. So you're afraid she'll be walked over by people, is that right?
Yes.
And are there other parts of her that do let people walk over her?
Yes.
Okay. So you're polarized with those parts.
Yes.
Okay. So if Diane was able to help those parts not be so afraid to stand up for herself, would you have to be so reactive?
I think, well, probably not.
And if you really trusted that that was true and she could stand up for herself without your help, what might you like to do instead inside of her?
Oh, I'd like to feel that calm confidence.
Yeah.
That's possible in there.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want me to know before I talk to Diane again?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about those parts that have let
People walk.
people, walk all over her.
Yeah. So we could go to those parts for a little while.
Okay. Okay.
So focus on one of those and find it in your body or around your body.
That's down in my belly.
Okay. And as you notice it down there, how do you feel toward it?
I feel like feeling silly.
Say it again.
It's being silly.
It's being silly.
Yeah.
Are you saying that in a judgmental way or
Well, yeah, maybe I am, but
so
am I still the anger?
no, I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
talk to you again, Diane.
Okay, Diane. Okay. Um,
Focus on that fear of standing up for yourself. How do you feel toward it?
I'm not sure it's fear.
Okay.
It's I think it's lack of acceptance. It's uh, whatever that is,
It's a part that doesn't feel
rejection.
the part that has felt rejected.
Yeah.
And how do you feel toward it?
Sorry.
Good. So let it know you're sorry that that happened to it
I'm sorry.
and see how it reacts to your compassion.
I'm reacting with a hug.
With a hug, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's just hug it for a while
Yeah.
and see what it wants you to know about feeling rejected. Maybe what it wants you to know about when that happened in the past.
Yeah. How hurt it felt, how sad it felt.
Yeah. Is it okay to feel some of that?
I'm feeling the emotion rising in my head, in my eyes.
Yeah. Is it okay to stay with that?
Yeah.
So tell it you're ready to really feel how hurt it was when it felt rejected. Just tell it to really let you get that.
Really getting that now.
Everything it wants you to see and feel and sense about it. Yeah, it's great. You can be with it this way and ask it if it does feel like you're getting how hurt it was, or if there's more it wants you to get about that.
It's more. I don't
Okay,
know what more.
just ask, just ask.
Understand. I'm getting the message that trying to deny that I'm feeling rejected only seems to make it worse.
Yeah. So did you try to do that?
Oh, yeah. I have
So
to.
maybe you could apologize to the part for doing that to it. Or letting other parts do that to
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm very sorry.
How is it reacting to your apology?
I'm a little bit wary,
Yeah, it doesn't.
wanting to believe it, but not quite yet.
Yeah, that's okay. But you are being sincere when you apologize?
Yes.
Okay, so just let it
Yes.
know that. And it can take its time trusting that. And does it feel now that you really get how bad that was for it? The rejection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Diane. So I'd like you to go to that part in the time period when that happened and be with her in the way she needed somebody. And just tell me when you're there with her.
It goes back to adolescence, it does.
Okay.
And I felt rejected for who I was by my parents.
Yeah.
And I was a black sheep in the family kind of
Okay.
status. So I felt that rejection then.
So can you be with her there?
Yeah, I can be with her, but I'm feeling it. Maybe as upset as she is.
Okay. But how are you being with her back there?
We're holding hands.
Good. It's great.
We're holding hands. We're observing.
And what's it like for her to have you there?
She's lit up. Is that lighter?
Good, good, good,
Lit, like glowing maybe.
good, good.
Recognized.
Yeah. Yeah. It means a lot to her that you're there and you see her for who she is, unlike them. And see if there's anything she needs you to do with her or for her back there with the parents, or if she just wants to leave that time and be and come to the present.
I don't think there's anything we need to do because
Ask her though. You said I think.
oh, okay. Is there
Ask
anything
her.
else we need to do? No, we need to walk away from that.
All right. So let's take her wherever she wants to go. It could be right there to your office or your home, or could be a fantasy place of her choice, wherever she wants to go.
Well, I brought it back here.
Good. How does she like it being there with you?
She feels better.
Yeah. And tell her she never,
Stronger.
yeah, that's right.
Stronger.
Tell her she never has to go back there and you're going to take care of her now.
I'm going to take care of you now. We don't have to go back there.
Ask if she's ready to unload the feelings and beliefs she got back there.
Ready to unload them? I felt like she unloaded them as we were observing.
That's possible, but just ask her.
Okay, well, that's the answer.
She unloaded it already?
Yeah, it was when I saw her, when I experienced her as a sort of light being.
Yeah, that's great.
Felt
Yeah,
like that had been unloaded then by that point.
fantastic. So
Okay.
how does she feel now?
She feels good. She feels
Like you said, stronger.
right. Stronger. Yeah, definitely stronger. She feels a little safer.
Uh-huh. That's right.
Safer.
Yeah, well, she is
Yeah.
safer now, so just make sure she knows that. And then before we stop, let's bring in that angry part to see that it doesn't have to protect or counter this one anymore. See how it reacts.
Okay, protector. Now what?
Is the angry part there?
Yeah. Not quite as present as before.
Yeah, maybe just
It's almost
ask.
like it's almost like standing back and watching, observing as well. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. But ask if it has any reactions to seeing the difference.
Oh, anger. Do you have any reactions? Ambivalence. Is that a reaction?
Sure.
It feels good that this part, this rejected part, is feeling safer, but it's not ready to disappear.
That's
Is
fine.
that right?
Totally, that's fine.
Not putting a value judgment on it, but that was the reaction.
Yeah, it can take its time, trusting this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there may be other parts that it protects or reacts to. So
I think that's true. I think that's true. I
that's it.
feel almost like there's a little bit of relief to not have to deal with that one exile.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So let it know you get there are other parts that need to heal first.
Yeah.
But are you willing to pursue that?
Who are we talking to? Me or Anger?
Diane, yeah, you yourself.
Diane. Yes, I am.
So let
Yes,
it
I
know.
am.
You'll keep working on it to free it up.
I am going to keep looking.
So it doesn't have to do this tough job anymore.
Yeah, it's a real hard job being angry and loud, shouting, yelling. Nah, it's hard. We'll hopefully soften it down.
Yeah. Okay. Does that feel complete for now?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Diane. It was great.
Right. Okay.
Are you open to hearing from people watching?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to say anything to Diane about what it was like to witness or do this, and then after that, then we can do a Q&A around the demo. But first, yeah, what was it like for you to watch or do this work? You're getting some nice chats. Julie?
Diane, can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah.
Every time I watch this work done, and I do it with clients, but it feels so like I'm healing too.
Great. Yeah.
So thank you for being there and helping me, because it's really collective. It feels so collective in the parts that have been developed over the societies we've grown up in. And so, have you noticed that, Dick?
Totally. Yeah, that's partly why I like doing these in groups, because you get a lot of bang for your buck. Everybody's working along with Diane. Yeah.
And if I can say, the rejected part was a surprise.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that was the origin of the anger, now that I can think. And when I got there, it was like, which one because there's a cluster of different parts there, any one of which could have been worked with, but the rejected one came out, and I did not see the connection.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful that I now have some sense of that.
And that's, that took really being firm with that thinking part. Because the thinking part had all kinds of theories about what was behind it. And it wasn't until we got that one to relax that you could get to this one. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, a lot of reactions in the chat. So we can, with your permission, we can shift to Q&A about it. Does anybody have questions about the demo or about the whole workshop? Avery?
Hi there. I go by Avery Dean. My pronouns are they and them.
Hi.
I'm curious about if you ever have clients or folks you're working with who struggle to get out of that thinking place, that struggle to really embody. I know that Diane had a tiny bit of that, but you were able to coach her through it really well. Have you run into people that really struggle to get out of their own brains? And if you do, what have you found are good tools or resources for supporting them to actually embody more of these parts?
Yeah, many people initially have trouble, particularly people that have been in other forms of therapy, because those thinking parts are sort of encouraged in lots of other therapies. So they think they're supposed to answer these questions. And so, but with persistence, and you can see I helped Diane be pretty firm with the part. And I'm also giving it a lot of reasons to step back. Like, if you step back, we can actually do this healing work that will relieve you as well. Usually they will, and sometimes it takes several sessions. And sometimes they become the target part. We just do a piece of work with the thinking part.
Thank you.
Anna?
Hi, Richard. Thank you both. I'm curious. I've come across with some clients, like when you ask them about a part and how they feel towards it, and like they feel angry towards it, and then when you ask them to maybe sort of set that part aside, they go, "Isn't that the self?" And they're so convinced that this part that feels this anger is the self, and that they can't differentiate themselves or let that part go. And I'm just curious if at all some part, the self could ever feel a sense of like righteous anger. Yeah, well, that was my sort of gut feeling on it. But then, yeah, and how do you work with that then when they're so convinced?
Yeah, it's similar to what I was saying about those self-like parts. There are people who really are identified with certain protectors, and those protectors even buy into it and believe that's who they are. And again, those are some of the rare times where I'll take a strong stand and I'll say, I know you think you are, Diane, but I promise you you're not. And you'll actually be relieved to learn that. And I can prove it to you if you let us do a piece of work with you. And like I said, for some people, that's a big identity crisis, and you got to kind of wade through that. And inevitably they're always relieved to find out there is this self in there, even though they kept it covered for, decades.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. Nicole?
Apologies. I just wanted to ask if it's all right if I remove Diane's spotlight.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. Nicole?
Hi there. Yes, wonderful demonstration. I really took away a lot from it. And I'm wondering, I often start with direct access, mostly because I've seen that sometimes when I think that they're able to be in self and they're doing the insight process, if I'm using that correctly, sometimes it seems that over the course of the session, they'll get blended and then confused by the process, or they don't even say that they're blended until we get to the end of the session. So I tend to probably with my own capabilities, just default to the direct access approach until I know that they are more able to access self. But I've heard that you say that you prefer the insight approach. And so I'd love to hear you speak to that, because I did see that you sort of started with insight. It seemed that you went to direct, and how that you can tell when a client is blended and how that you manage that.
Yeah. So it's a good question. The reason I prefer it is one of the goals of IFS is for the client's parts to trust self as the leader rather than me, the therapist. And that's a big distinction between IFS and many more psychodynamic models where the therapist does become that attachment figure. And when you do direct access, it's more apt to happen where they start to attach to you. So that's why, some clients you can't not do it. You don't have a choice. There's not enough self around. And so there are a number of those clients where I would do direct access exclusively for much of the therapy until there was enough trust that the parts would open up. So if it's working for you and you're not sensing too much transference or attachment to you, then it's fine to do what you're doing. And as they get to know you and trust you more, they're more apt to cooperate when you ask them to let self run things. So I don't have any big problem with it. It's just that's the reason we prefer direct access. Insight.
Okay, great. Yeah, and that's where my goal is always then to move them towards insight. And I think even kind of them seeing me model what it looks like as they're gaining those qualities of self, in my experience, has helped them start to see, oh, this is how I can do that too. So that's really helpful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Julie again?
Yeah, this is an interesting question, but you're so good at this work. It makes me wonder, like, when you see, on the national stage or the international stage, you see all kinds of people speaking. And do you ever think to yourself, I wonder if this is their part? Because and because that's what in some ways it's like society's not really that safe, and so they put the part out.
Totally. Yeah, most politicians are doing they're running from parts, and as I'm moving much more in the direction of trying to bring IFS to larger systems and starting to work some with politicians and social activists and so on, and helping them do their whatever they do from self rather than from these parts. And it's challenging. It's partly challenging because they're in such tough situations a lot of the time. But yeah, the rest of my career, I'm going to be focused less on training therapists and more on bringing IFS to larger systems, various kinds.
Oh, that's beautiful, because if you think about it, it almost seems like there's more parts than there are, than we can see the people. And when you can see the people, it's almost surprising. It's like, oh, that's like a full person, you know, on the camera.
Very much. And we didn't talk about this, but there's a whole topic of what we call legacy burdens that didn't come from your direct experience in your life, but came down through your ancestors or your ethnic group, and so many of the world's problems are driven by legacy burdens. So that's another big goal I have, is to help in a collective way people unload these legacy burdens.
That's huge. Thank you. That's beautiful work.
Thank you. Angela.
Angela, you should see other.
There we go. Sorry about that. I feel a movement to raise my hand just based on that last interaction. I sat in the and participated in the collaborative year, and I'm really wondering. I'm wondering if you've gotten to participate in any of the like collective trauma integration processes that he's leading, or how that's on the topic of legacy burdens. Yeah, like how that collaboration is going, or if it's paused.
Are you talking about Thomas Hubel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're writing a book together, so that's where things stand. And I haven't had the opportunity to do any of the collective work that he's doing with him. I'm moving in that direction with not nearly the same size groups that he is, but we are, you know, with a couple hundred people doing collective unburdenings, and it's very exciting.
That's amazing. I really appreciate. Yeah, really, that collaboration in particular with you and Thomas just feels so potent.
Thank you.
Really grateful that you're doing the book together, and see how it all impacts the collective. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we're about out of time, right, Kira?
Yeah, so that is about all the time we have. Feel free to, you know, close up the session. I'll be letting people know about the talk that you'll be taking part in tomorrow with Peter Levine and Scott Lyons. And also there was a training that you mentioned, a workshop, or was that the immersion in the fall that you were speaking about? It was earlier on.
I think I mentioned the training for coaches.
Okay.
I don't know of anything else I mentioned.
Yeah, and the training for coaches, do you remember the name for that one?
Is there a name for it?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's not published yet. So, but I'll let people know about the.
Yeah, they haven't settled on a date yet, so they haven't put it on the website, but
Not a problem.
the website is ifs-institute.com, and so people can keep an eye on it.
Great.
But you know, let me thank Diane again. Really made the talk, and encourage you to keep going with those parts. And yeah, I enjoyed this very much, and you know, hope to see many of you again.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's always a pleasure. And thank you everyone for attending live today and for your participation. Thank you again, Diane. It was so amazing to see that live in action. And Richard will be joining Peter Levine tomorrow for an intimate talk hosted by Scott Lyons. And I'll be posting a link where you can find out how to register for that. That'll be tomorrow from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And I just hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Bye-bye.